In the heart of Africa, where the sun kisses the land, there's a channel called Jubosmiles, where legends take a stand. From the mighty savannah
In the quiet village of Umuachala, where the cockscrow signaled the start of a new day, there lived a man named Obiora and his wife Nneka. Their marriage was the envy of many, for they seemed to have found the perfect balance between love, respect, and companionship. Nneka was a woman of grace and patience, known for her kindness and gentle spirit. She moved through the village like a soft breeze, always humming a tune as she went about her daily chores. Whether she was fetching water from the stream, sweeping the compound with swift, graceful strokes, or preparing the evening meal, there was always a song on her lips. She had a voice as sweet as palm wine, and sometimes the village children would stop their games just to listen to her song. Obiora, her husband, was equally admired. A strong and hardworking farmer, he took pride in providing for his home. His farm, located just beyond the village square, boasted rows of healthy yam mounds, tall maize stalks swaying in the wind, and plump cassava roots buried beneath the rich brown earth. Every morning, before the sun rose fully, he would set out to his farm, machete in hand, whistling a tune as he walked down the narrow footpath lined with palm trees. He walked tirelessly under the scorching sun, his muscles rippling with each stroke of his hoe. Yet, no matter how exhausting his day was, he always returned home with a broad smile, eager to share stories of his day with Nneka. In the evenings, after the farm work was done and the evening meal had been cooked, Obiora and Nneka would sit outside their small house, basking in the cool night breeze. The sky above them was often a vast, endless canvas of stars, with the moon shining brightly, casting a silver glow over the village. The sound of crickets and distant drum beats from the village square filled the air, creating a soothing rhythm to their conversations. They would laugh as they shared stories, sometimes about Obiora's mischievous encounters in the farms, other times about Nneka's amusing experiences at the market. She would tell him about how the women gossiped about the latest village happenings, and he would shake his head, chuckling at their endless chatter. Sometimes, Nneka would tease him, saying, "Obiora, one day I will carry your name to the city and make you a famous man." And he would laugh heartily, shaking his head. "Ah, Nneka, I'm just a simple farmer. What will the city do with me?" Their laughter would ring through the night, blending with the gentle rustling of the palm trees. The villagers often admired them from afar, whispering, "If there is a perfect marriage, surely it is theirs." To those who watched them, Obiora and Nneka were more than just husband and wife. They were best friends, inseparable in love and laughter. But even the strongest of trees can be shaken by the fiercest of storms. And unknown to them, dark clouds were slowly gathering on the horizon of their once perfect home. But like the harmattan wind that starts with a gentle breeze, before turning fierce, their home changed. It began with a little disagreement one evening. Nneka forgot to add enough salt to the soup. Obiora frowned and grumbled, but said nothing more. The next time, she left his clothes outside and they got drenched in the rain. He shouted at her, his voice louder than the village gong. But Nneka simply apologized, thinking it would pass. However, it did not pass. The little quarrels became frequent. One evening, Obiora slapped Nneka over a poorly cooked meal. She gasped, her eyes wide with shock. He stormed out and she wept quietly, believing it was just a moment of anger. But the slaps became beatings. Each time they quarreled, his hands found her body like a sculptor shaping clay. Soon the bruises on her skin became as common as the dust on the village roads. The neighbors talked. Women whispered among themselves at the stream, their voices carrying both pity and judgment. How can a man who was admired his wife turn into a beast, they would ask. Maybe she has offended him greatly, some suggested. Others, like Mama Ejike, would sometimes intervene. Obiora, stop this madness. A man does not beat his wife like a stubborn goat. But Obiora would wave them off, telling them to mind their own business. One day, Nneka left their home for her father's house, her face swollen like a ripe mango. But her father, a man of tradition, sent her back. A woman's place is with her husband. Marriage is not always sweet like palm wine. Sometimes it is bitter like bitter leaf. Go and endure. So she returned, and the beatings continued. Then something happened, something that shook Obiora to his very core, something that made him stop. And for the first time, regret burned in his chest like hot coals. It was a cold, moonless night when the village was awakened by a desperate scream, the kind that made even the bravest hunter stop in his tracks. It was Nneka's voice. The villagers rushed towards Obiora's house, their oil lamps flickering in the darkness. Inside, Nneka lay motionless on the floor, her breath faint, her body battered beyond recognition. Obiora stood over her, his hands trembling, the weight of what he had done finally sinking in. Mama Ejike shoved him aside and knelt by Nneka, pressing her ear to the woman's chest. "She's barely breathing," she cried, her voice thick with panic. Someone ran to fetch the village healer. Others began to murmur, their whispers heavy with condemnation. "He has killed her," they said. "His wickedness has finally caught up with him." Obiora fell to his knees, his heart pounding against his ribs. He reached for Nneka's hands, but it was limp, lifeless. "Nneka, please wake up," he whispered, his voice hoarse with fear, but she did not respond. The woman who had once laughed with him under the moonlight now lay cold and silent before him. Tears filled his eyes, hot and unrelenting. The weight of his actions pressed on him like 1,000 stones. The neighbors watched, their faces a mixture of pity and rage. Would Nneka wake up? Or had Obiora crossed the line from which there was no return? The village healer arrived, his face grim as he bent over Nneka's still body. He placed a hand on her forehead, feeling for warmth, then checked her pulse. The crowd held their breath. "She is alive, but barely," he announced. "She must be taken to the community hospital immediately. Only proper care can save her now." The villagers wasted no time. 2 strong men lifted Nneka onto a mat and carried her towards the hospital, a small facility at the edge of the village. Obiora stumbled after them, his feet heavy with guilt. He wanted to call out to her, to beg for forgiveness, but the words stuck in his throat like dry fufu. At the hospital, the nurses rushed to attend to her. The doctor, a stern-looking man, examined Nneka and sighed deeply. "She has lost a lot of blood," he said. "Her body is weak. We will do our best, but she must fight to stay alive." Obiora sat outside the hospital, his head in his hands. For the first time, he saw himself for what he was, a man who had destroyed his own happiness with his own hands. But was it too late? Days turned into long agonizing nights, and Nneka remained unconscious. The once lively woman who filled their home with laughter and songs now lay motionless, her breathing shallow, her face pale against the white sheets of the hospital bed. The rhythmic beeping of the old monitor was the only sound in the dimly lit room, a cruel reminder that time was passing, yet nothing was changing. Obiora barely ate, barely spoke. His once broad shoulders, strong from years of farm work, now slumped under the crushing weight of guilt. He sat by her bedside, his rough, callous hands trembling as he reached for hers. Her fingers, once warm and full of life, felt cold and fragile in his grasp. Tears welled up in his eyes as he whispered, his voice breaking, "Please, Nneka, please wake up. I was a fool. I was blind. Just open your eyes, even for a moment. Give me a chance to make things right." The hospital walls felt like they were closing in on him, suffocating him with memories of every time he had raised his hands against her. The first slap, the shouts, the bruises he had dismissed as mere marks that would fade. But now, this was a wound, that might never heal. The doctor had spoken in hushed tones to the nurses earlier. She has lost a lot of blood. Her body is weak. If she doesn't wake up soon. He had left the sentence hanging in the air like a death sentence, and Obiora had felt his heart stop. Outside, the villagers who had once gossiped about their marriage now gathered in small clusters, murmuring prayers. Even those who had scorned Nneka for staying with him now wiped silent tears from their eyes. The village women who once whispered behind her back now shook their heads in sorrow, muttering, if only she had left earlier. Obiora bowed his head, his body racked with silent sobs. He had always believed himself to be a strong man, but now, sitting here, watching his wife sleeping further away, he had never felt weaker. He clenched her hands tighter, as if his grip alone would keep her tethered to life. His voice cracked as he whispered, Nneka, I will change. I swear on my life. Just come back to me. But she did not move. Then one evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, Nneka's eyes fluttered open. She looked around weakly, her gaze settling on Obiora. Tears filled his eyes as he fell to his knees. Nneka, I am sorry, he sobbed. I've been a monster. If the gods spare you, I swear on my life, I will never raise my hand against you again. Nneka, still weak, said nothing. She only stared at him, her eyes holding years of pain. The road to forgiveness would not be easy, but Obiora was ready to walk it. From that day forward, he changed. He sought guidance from the village elders, learned patience, and treated Nneka with the love she deserved. The whispers in the village changed from gossip about his cruelty to murmurs of astonishment at his transformation. Obiora had learned the hard way that love is not meant to be bruised, but cherished. Did you enjoy this story? What are your thoughts on Obiora's transformation? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring and thought-provoking stories.
Warriors and spirits in the night they thrive. From the village to the mountains, tales of old unfold in the land of Africa.